I've promised this video for over 1 year now, and at least many of my subscribers really did wanted to see it being made. So that's what's unfolding now. Let's get to it. So, I'm a proponent of the maximal data case approach. In other words, the opposite to Dr. Gary Habermas's minimal facts approach. He has been using it for decades, and it has helped bring many skeptics to the Christian faith, as well as strengthening existing Christian believers. Now, proponents of the maximal data case approach, like myself and atheists out there, have pointed out some problems and areas of critique to the minimal facts approach. After finishing writing my own book late last year, I just recently got back to his massive Volume 1 book in the Magnum Opus collection, On the Resurrection, Evidences. I'm close to halfway through. It's a massive and very informative book with thousands of footnotes, and I came across some interesting observations that I look forward to share in the future, Lord willing. One of them even resulted in this video. Habermas was close to becoming a Buddhist a few decades ago. There is also a lot of other stuff in here that critical scholars agree on that I did not at all expect was the case. The book is 1,100 pages and cost $100+ when channel members Jerry and Alexa donated it to my ministry work, so shout out and thanks to them. It's a bit of a heavy book, like it's not the easiest to read in my personal opinion, but there is a lot of interesting information in here. So what are the minimal facts? Gary Habermas and Mike Lacona writes on page 44 in the Case for the Resurrection of Jesus the following. The minimal facts approach considers only those data that are so strongly attested historically that they are granted by nearly every scholar who studies the subject, even the rather skeptical ones. The minimal facts, according to Gary Habermas on page 149 here in Evidences, are the following 6. And do notice the highlighted underscored words because they have been emphasized and formulated very carefully. Number 1. Jesus died due to the effects of Roman crucifixion. Number 2. The disciples afterwards reported experiences that they thought were actually appearances of the risen Jesus. Number 3. These experiences accounted for the disciples' life becoming thoroughly transformed, even to the point of being willing to die for their belief. Number 4. The proclamation of Jesus and the appearances took place very early, soon after the experiences themselves. Number 5. James, the brother of Jesus and a skeptic before his conversion, most likely believed after he also thought he saw the risen Jesus. Number 6. Just a few years later, Saul of Tarsus, Paul, also became a Christian believer due to an experience he also concluded was an appearance of the risen Jesus to him. The famous skeptical New Testament scholar Bart Ehrman says on page 230 to 231 of his book Jesus, Apocalyptic Prophet of the New Millennium, the following. We can say with complete certainty that some of his disciples at some later time insisted that he soon appeared to them, convincing them that he had been raised from the dead. Now, I could also mention the famous creed by Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, that he says he was given. The creed that mentions the death, the atonement, the burial, the resurrection, and the appearances to the disciples, to his brother James, and to Paul himself, and the 500 ones. It is debated how early it is, this creed, but even skeptical scholars mostly date this to being just 1 to 3 years after the crucifixion. Wow, that's early. Why are they okay with that? Well, here's the problem and critique by maximalists and skeptics if you just go by the minimal facts approach and this creed. Because we in 2025 don't really know enough about the specific nature of these appearances from this creed. And these details were neither its original purpose, by the way. But yeah, anyway, a skeptic can explain these experiences that the disciples, James and Paul believed and concluded that they themselves had of the risen Jesus, as well as the 500, as some sort of apparition and pareidolia. However, I will say this. I think any of those explanations are terrible and way more ad hoc. I don't have a bias to not believe the supernatural. I can believe both in that and the natural. And given all on the table, I still personally believe that the explanation of the minimal facts is indeed best explained by the fact that Jesus bodily rose from the dead. That said, a skeptic is not fully cornered here. The skeptic can wiggle himself out of this one with natural proposals that I just gave, even if you as a Christian don't find them convincing. Now, how you make the case for Christ way stronger than a minimal facts approach is to defend the touch me and see Jesus that we find in the Gospels. It's the Acts chapter 1 verses 1 to 3 Jesus. After Jesus' suffering, he presented himself to them and gave many convincing proofs that he was alive. He appeared to them over a period of 40 days and spoke to them about the kingdom of God, Jesus. So, nerd up, man up, and defend the maximalist approach also. It's a privilege. And why would we not have the cavalry on our hand, ready to send in after the minimal facts are presented? The max case data approach is not that much harder to learn. Here I have a video that in 6+ minutes gives a case for the reliability of the gospel accounts, Jesus' resurrection, early dating of the text, high Christology in the church for the first 200 years, and more. Link is in the description box below. I really like Dr. Gary Habermas's work. He is the world's leading expert on the resurrection. There is a reason that I stick my neck out, so to speak, as a max data case guy, to diplomatically defend the minimal facts approach here a bit, against other maximalists and skeptics. How so? Well, let me point you to one big and important group of people out there that the minimal facts approach are highly effective on. Your average, kind of apathetic skeptic in the street, who don't really think that Christianity is all that relevant, nor have anything of evidence or reason to stand on. And that's a big group. And everywhere that I have preached on this topic, I always start with the minimal facts. And again, they are blown away about the fact that these minimal facts are actually accepted by most scholars in the field, skeptical ones included. Let alone that it's such a serious field and talked about highly relevantly in the world of academics and scholarship. And even after pointing out the weaknesses of the minimal facts, this is still the case, both when my crowd is younger or older generations. The fact that these minimal facts are indeed accepted by even the most critical scholars out there, that's intriguing and impressive by the skeptic or common guy in the street. You see, guys, not all people are nerdy maximalists or informed skeptics out there in the offline world, like you are. Now always, after I present the minimal facts, I send in the cavalry, the max data case. So in other words, the minimal facts are perfect as a bait, as a warm-up, as to generate interest and to make
apathetic people interested in Christianity.
The minimal facts are, in other words, a perfect appetizer. And to which I say, who serves only appetizers and not the main dish? Why not both?